Hello, Hypercycle community. Welcome to another installment of the Hypercycle Year in Review. This series is all about reflecting on the incredible journey we've had in 2024 and looking ahead to the exciting opportunities in 2025. Today, we're diving into Hypercycle's journey, its incredible milestones, the hurdles we've overcome, and what lies ahead. Let's get started. Allow me to introduce Robert Moir, Hypercycle Chief Scientist. How are you, Robert?
I'm good. Thanks, Jerry. Great to be here with you.
Oh, man, it is always a joy to hang with you, my friend. So, Robert, I've got these bullet points. I wanted to kind of like poise them to you in the form of questions and have you respond. How does that sound?
Sure. You can give it a go.
All right. So, as Hypercycle is on this journey of building strategic messaging, I'd like to have you fill me in on what that means and where you see that going for us.
I think really what we want to do is to emphasize the technology that we're building and what we have available and accessible to people, and to build an understanding of how people can use the technology and what they can do with it. So as opposed to giving a sort of laying out a plan for how things will evolve, a lot of people, I think, would quite like to see that kind of thing. The challenge with the technology like Hypercycle, one, we're doing something totally new. It's not something that has been done before. So the nature of that is we don't have a lot of other examples we can reference of how things might go and sort of what we might anticipate on the basis of that. But it's also what it is that we're building is in a constant state of shifting and changing and adapting to market demands, technological possibilities, business requirements, all these kinds of things. So we're sort of navigating this rich and complex space of possibility, and it's not always clear, what path we're going to take through that space. So rather than giving this plan of where things are going, we have lots of ideas of what we want to do, but it's hard to be able to share that as much as we would like. So the strategy for communication about what we're doing is to focus on what we know we have to provide for people and what people can do with it, and celebrating the accomplishments that we've been able to achieve, with a bit of a window to what's coming down the pipeline and what people can look forward to in the future.
No, I really appreciate that. I know from where we sit on my side of the business, communicating to people what we are and what we're about is easier than the requests we get from folks. What are you doing and what is the next thing you're going to release? And, give us a roadmap, because every other project gives us a roadmap. And it's really interesting that we're in this space of, there's never been anything like us before. We can't necessarily, it's not like we're copying Bitcoin and we can tell you with almost pinpoint precision, this, and this, and then you get that. It's not like that with what we're doing. And so these community updates are essential for at least letting folks know what we have done, right? And what we may anticipate is our next 1 or 2, 3 steps versus here's a roadmap for the next 5 years. And so I really appreciate you bringing clarity to that. Here's another one. You've been intimately involved with the Hyper Appliance business. Let's talk a little bit about Hyper Appliance, its sales and its shipments, and what you believe that means from a kind of like, keep in mind, this is a 2024 year in review kind of thing. So what does that say to you? What does that speak to you?
So, Hyper Appliance is its own company, and focused on providing largely edge hardware to provide a decentralized network of compute nodes and the possibilities that exist there. It's also intended to provide at least in terms of the products we provided thus far, a really easy way for people to access the Internet of AI as it grows and develops. Hence the idea of an appliance, like something you can plug in and it sets itself up for you. There's maybe a little bit of configuration you have to do to get it going. And then it can become a way for you to benefit from the growing, emerging AI economy. So that's the vision for Hyper Appliance.
I will never forget being able to spend that time with you in Panama when we were making that short kind of marketing film about the Hyper Appliance, and what a rock star you were that particular day in filming, considering we didn't have scripts. We were just going in there and speaking from our hearts, so to speak. You really stole the show.
Oh, well, thank you. That was all fun.
Hey, let me transition to this topic, and this is one I know that you've been really working hard on lately, and I think that you have some good news for the community around it, and that is hackathons. Number one, their importance to us and what we've accomplished in 2024 and what we look to maybe go to in 2025 with that topic.
Yeah, so most of the hackathons that I was involved in were in actually back in 2023. We had a little bit of that happening this year. There was a great one that happened in, I believe it was in Costa Rica. That you had a big hand in organizing, so you'd have more to say about that than I would. But it was great to see development there happening with the Hyper Ring and using the software development kit, and people had some really neat things happening there. I think what's really exciting to me about the hackathons is it's where we really start to see people's imagination come out in terms of what the possibilities are for creating essentially like little AI apps and then businesses that you can build around them that can actually become part of the Hypercycle network. So far, this has been more sort of opportunities for creative imagination, tackling technical challenges on the AI side. But so that's more the sort of year in review type story. But as things evolve coming into the following year, we'll be in the position to actually have things being built on Hypercycle and have a shift in focus in terms of the hackathons that really actually bring those explorations to life. So I'm very excited to see where things go for 2025 in terms of what we can do on the hackathon front.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that too. I want to share with you a quick story. So at ETH Pura Vida, and now this was the third place winner of the hackathon that we sponsored, Hypercycle did in conjunction with HyperRing. This young man took the ring and an Android phone and the SDK, and he built this game, very simple game, built off the rock, paper, scissors game.
Right.
Yeah. And so you would tap the ring to your phone. Each of the 3 NFC chips on the ring was either a rock, paper, or a scissor, but they weren't rock, paper, or scissor. They were various mythical creatures. And the game was this visually stunning little battle between this guy with his ring and that guy with his ring playing rock, paper, scissors, and the creatures of the corresponding rock, paper, and would fight.
Yeah, that's amazing.
He did this in 2 days.
Yeah, it's immense.
And he used AI tools to do it. And one of the things I thought was really amazing was how the frontier that we're on the border of, I mean, like we're right there. It's literally our only barrier is imagination.
Yeah.
And it's just absolutely thrilling to see what these I'm calling them young people are doing with this tech. And so I really look forward to seeing Hypercycle and its software SDK jump into the mix, because we all know that is a platform for like almost unlimited growth. It is really exciting stuff.
And talking about creative possibility, like that really, I think, is uh, where things are going for hypercycle. Like the there's a phenomenon in mathematics or physics, in terms of, I mean, I guess it's really just the difference between adding things to each other versus allowing them to interact, where things then grow multiplicatively or geometrically. And so the number, and then with the more possible, like, sort of units you add in, the more the possibilities just explode. So with the Internet of AI, as we're plugging more and more AI into that, there's a dizzying number of possibilities for how these things can all interact and play with each other. And really, yeah, the sky's the limit in terms of where the imagination can take us for what those things, those interactions can make possible. And there's no way of anticipating ahead of time. So
Right.
this is quite an interesting phenomenon and situation to be in with this company. Is like, it's literally impossible to predict what people will do. So I'm very excited to see the ideas that people come up
Yet
with.
exciting, yet extremely exciting to see what people do come up with and implement, right? And I think that's a really great segue. Let me take you to my next bullet point: nodes running successfully. Like, I can distinctly remember when I got brought on in August of 2022, it was like, wow, this is so almost ethereal. Like, okay, I get it and I can conceptually understand it, but nobody could show me. We didn't have, the tech wasn't substantiated yet. And here we are, nodes are actually doing stuff. So I would like you to share with the community in 2024, what have been some of the milestones around nodes and their functionality?
I mean, the biggest sort of example of this that I can talk in detail about is really what's happening behind the scenes with the HyperPG tilling service, or HTS. So all of that is running on hypercycle nodes. So the hypercycle node is actually powering that. And so we have transactions happening on nodes through that. There's compute tilling happening behind the scenes. So all of these things that we were talking about for a long time are actually now happening in production behind that service, which is part of the reason why it's been so complicated to get that running. There are so many different moving parts, so much complexity comes in when you having different systems talking to each other in a distributed setting, but also and there are many here, because there's the blockchain, there's your interface to the blockchain, there's the dApps, there's HTS. The HTS behind the scene is hypercycle node. There's also a thing called the Merkle service, which is what's actually doing the cryptographic registration of uptime and compute. All of these things have to seamlessly interact with each other. There's any number of things that can go wrong. So, so there's a long story of working and figuring out all the sort of subtleties and getting that whole system to work properly. But it's now in a position where things are getting settled. And a few sort of remaining wrinkles are getting worked out. But the thing to emphasize there is this whole network, that particular product, is the first example of successful sort of compute operations happening on the hypercycle network.
Gosh, incredible. I also want to stand corrected. It was not August of 2022. I came aboard August of 2023. I'm getting senile in my old age.
It seems like longer, yeah.
Well, you know what? It does, because so many incredible things are going on. I mean, it's like every week has a new challenge, and it seems like we got this incredible team, and we're like every week knocking down these barriers that have been in the way of us getting to our final destination. So it's just been like phenomenal to be a part of this. And it's like every day we're at it. Let's segue from nodes running successfully to node factory deployments and management. Let's talk about that for a little bit, because that that's been my largest learning journey with the company, is really starting to understand the nuances of this really novel element of node operation, which is so unlike any other node operation element that I knew prior to coming here. And so with node factories, the ability with well, different financial models built within it, the S token, the R token, the binary distribution or growth of a node into multiple nodes through this incredible binary structure. Let's speak about that and how that is actually happening today. It's no longer theory, where you could speak to how it's reality.
Yeah, I mean, we've been talking about these ideas for a long time, and this part of this sort of year in review here is we've been in the process of in stronger ways and more and easier ways putting this in people's hands and allowing them to work with them. What we've seen through this year is the evolution of the product as well, and this is part of what I was referring to earlier, in that you can't pretty predict exactly how things will evolve, because the product itself is evolved. So the name we changed from Hypershare, where it was focusing on the R tokens, the S tokens that you mentioned. So the wealth creation coming from this exponential growth of the share over time, and the revenue generation that comes when these nodes are doing compute and getting payment for compute requests. So that's where the concept, but then it evolved into this idea of a node factory, which really emphasizes the fact that this thing is an exponentially growing product. So you actually are generating more and more licenses to run nodes over time. And this was there from the beginning, but it really helps to solidify what is really novel about this approach. Is we're at this sort of unique time in history where AI is sort of really bursting into really powerful possibility, and it's evolving, and the market for this is growing. The appetite for compute is growing, and there is this whole new economy that is coming out of this. Like, there's just no stopping it. What's novel about this product, among other things, I'm focusing, but this is the node factory idea, is that this product actually grows exponentially with you, allowing you for a single upfront cost, essentially, to be able to benefit from this exponentially growing economy with an exponentially growing product. So it's a very wonderful way of bringing into I think into our sort of collective consciousness, but also literally into people's, well, maybe figuratively into people's hands, the wealth creation concept that is always been there in economies. Like they create wealth by creating businesses or initiatives that are wealth or revenue generating, and this is a way of putting that into people's hands and allowing them to directly benefit from that. And it's an interesting kind of engagement because it'll be very simple for people to work with at the beginning. You just have a single node, but as this thing grows, you're actually managing more and more nodes, and they can do very interesting things. And there'll be a lot of creative possibility there for what you choose. There'll be ways that people can get help with that to make it simpler for them. But you have your own sort of way of navigating that massive new economy in ways that suit what you're interested in creating in the world, what you want to see happening with AI. So there's a very interesting kind of engagement that people will have with the technology as this goes forward, and that's all built into the core product of the Node Factory. So
I remember distinctly getting brought on, and I went out and bought my own license from nodemarket.io. It was an NFT, and I remember buying my Hypercycle tokens, and I was like, okay, I read all the papers and stuff. Now let's put this together, and because I want to have my node, right? And we didn't have the technology. And you guys have I remember you and I did that first recording of a tutorial for the V.1 contract to create node factories. Back then we called them hypershares, right? And then you guys refined it. You added some secret sauce, you made it better, and then you injected that tutorial for the V2. And now there are actual bots tracking the creation of these node factories, because now it's no longer speculation. We're on the internet. We are viable. These are viable things. You can trace them through explorers and things of that nature and pinpoint them. That is a sense of reality. I know it's digital, but there's an element of it's tangible.
Uh-huh.
Right? Because it's verifiable. It's there. It's real. Maybe digital. Maybe it's not like, this thing that I can knock on my noggin, but I can see it with these analytic tools, and I know it's real, and I know it's there. Boy, in such a short time, this is good stuff. Good job, Robert.
Well, thank you. And we recognize that it's a complex product, and we're working on ways to make it simpler and easier to use. And I'm looking forward to what we're going to be able to provide for people that's growing that possibility and accessibility in the future.
Cool. I don't think we should close this out without. Well, let's bring this up, and this is the thing that's been of most interest to me. The closed alpha program. What can you share with us that we've done this year in 2024 around the closed alpha, and maybe a hint at what that might lead to for folks in 2025?
Sure. Yeah. So the closed alpha program is emerged as just an idea earlier this year as a way of gradually bringing out the hypercycle compute technology to the community. So going through a sort of a series of stepwise releases, starting with internal ones, and eventually sort of moving out into the community and putting it in the hands of developers and getting them to work with it, getting detailed feedback, improving the product itself as well as the documentation. So that whole process has been underway, I think, for maybe about 6 months, a little bit less, probably more like 4 in terms of when we really started to get it going. So it hasn't been around for a long time, but we're making progress in mostly on the internal side so far. But we're starting to get more people internally involved in working on that and smoothing things out. And certainly in quarter 1 of next year, I expect we'll be moving out that next layer to get the first people in the community involved in it. So this will be selected people from the who have expressed interest in participating in this program, who have really who are the most tech savvy and from the development side, because there'll be a lot of technical development work involved to begin with. But then as we simplify that even more, then we'll be able to gradually sort of go out to the next layer of the onion. And then once this solidifies, then we can start talking about a beta release. And then that would be where we have this much more broadly accessible to the community. So can't tell you exactly when that will happen, because it's one of those branching possibilities. It depends on where things land, but I'm very, very excited to get to that stage. I'm really looking forward to that. So yeah, and I think the other piece of this is that I'm looking forward to working out is how this can feed into the kinds of things that I talked about before that we'd like to do with hackathons in 2025. So I see there being a relationship there that could be a lot of fun.
That's exciting stuff. I'm really looking forward to it. If you are watching this video and you are a developer interested in the Hypercycle ecosystem, we want to hear from you. Reach out to me at jerry@hypercycle.ai and let me know what you're working on. and we'll see if there's a possibility we can work with you. So, Robert, is there anything that you would like to leave the community with? This is your parting shot for our year in review video together.
I guess this just how I am feeling about where we are right now. I feel like we're still in that kind of humble beginnings stage as a company. But there's something really powerful that we're building, and we're right on the precipice of that starting to emerge into form. And the first sort of inklings of where this is all going are coming very, very soon. So it's kind of like there's this special quality, is a word I'm looking for. I can't think of how to articulate, but it's kind of like this quiet period before something really big is going to happen. That's the feeling I have about where Hypercycle is at this moment. So
yeah, it's good stuff.
Very exciting to see what's going to take shape in the coming year.
Well, all the work that's been done in 2024 is really set to lay the groundwork for some, what I would say, breakthrough stuff, or at least what the community gets access to. Like I'm fortunate. I'm in all these various meetings and calls every week, so I get updated on things all the time. The community, not so much. So I can tell you, folks, your patience will be rewarded. We are definitely making the transition from concept to actual, right? And it's the mission is not always easy, but it's worth it. So hang with us, stay excited, because there's a ton to be excited about. And please comment, let us know what you're thinking, how you received this video. Make sure you're following us all on our socials. And until next time, on behalf of Robert and Jerry, Pura Vida, and be well, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.